Hey, hey, welcome into another episode of Friar Territory here on the Foul Territory Network. I'm Kyle Glaser alongside Mike Cameron, here to break down the Padres' most recent road trip against the Colorado Rockies, talk a little bit about some of the biggest goings on in Major League Baseball, and look ahead to their upcoming homestand against the Angels and the Mariners. Mike, we talk about it all the time. The good teams take care of business against the bad teams. It's exactly what the Padres did. They went 6-3 on this road trip, sweeping the Pirates, staying competitive against the Yankees, who are a good team, and then taking care of business, winning 2 of 3 in Colorado. All in all, the Padres are in good shape heading here. We're almost at the quarter pole of the season, second best record in baseball. And like I said, got to take care of business against the bad teams. It's exactly what the Padres did this last weekend against the Rockies, especially.
Definitely. The Padres really, unloaded on the lonesome Colorado Rockies. I mean, to
Yeah.
the point that where it got Bud Black fired after that win. And
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, it's not all Bud Black's problem. I think it always he's the one that got to take the brunt of this situation.
Yeah.
It's just that I mean, from their perspective, that's one thing. But from the Padres' perspective, they're playing some really good baseball. They had a great road trip. And now, they're going to go back home and try to continue that. I mean, they're getting healthy. The pitchers are pitching very well. I mean, and just like your guys are hot all at the right time. Being Tatis, um, Manny,
Yep.
um, and man, the young phenom, the center came back sizzling. I mean,
Yeah.
like literally sizzling, bro. So that's a blessing for the team to have him back and for them to be going into this I call it the quarter pole stretch.
Yep.
When we're getting close to Memorial Day weekend, and those guys are still doing it. And I mean, they have to. I mean, it's as much as we talk about this, they have to play this well because the D-backs are right there creeping up. The
Yep.
Giants are still holding on, and obviously we know the Dodgers are still doing their thing. Even though they got a lot of people hurt also.
No question. It's going to be competitive the whole way through. And that's why it's important to take care of business against the bad teams, win the games you're supposed to win. We see so many teams, both previous versions of the Padres and just in baseball in general. The teams that tease you are the ones that beat the good teams, but then play down to the level of their competition. The good teams are the ones that take care of business against weaker opponents, which the Padres are doing. You mentioned taking it all out on the Rockies. In the opener, they won 13-9. They're up 13-2 in the eighth. You think, oh, that's a pretty good offensive outburst. And then Saturday, 21-0. I mean, we haven't seen a beatdown like that involving San Diego and Denver since LaDainian Tomlinson was running around the backfield and Sean Merriman was making Jay Cutler's life a living hell. I mean, that was something that was, I mean, we see routes, we see teams have good days and bad days, but 21-0, I mean, that's just a different level, Mike.
Yeah, when the games get out of hand in this manner, it's just a matter of trying to manage the the pitching as much as you possibly can.
Yeah.
Um, from the other team perspective, from the team that is blowing them out, it's a fun day. I mean, everyone's trying to get in on the action. The last time, I played in a game like that, I think. I played in a game like this in Colorado where we won 26-12. And
Oof.
that was back in 1999 with Cincinnati. And yeah, it was, I guess my boss was part of that, Jerry.
Yep,
So
Jerry Dipoto, yep.
yeah, he was a part of that drugging that we got that day. It was pretty special. I think I got maybe 8 plate appearances, I think, if I'm not mistaken. So,
Yeah, we saw a couple
it
Padres
was
hit 7, 8. I mean, it's
yeah,
one of those things where just everyone it's hit day. Everyone takes a turn,
yeah.
and look, this was a historic day for the Padres franchise. 21 runs, the second most in a game in franchise history.
Jeez.
20 and then 21 nothing, the 21 run margin of victory, largest margin of victory in franchise history. 24 hits, most hits in franchise history. It was a truly, truly historic day with everyone chipping in. And by the way, on the other side of it, let's give credit to Stephen Kolek. His first
Yeah,
two major
shutout.
league starts, he has yet to allow a run. In his second big league start, throws a shutout in Coors Field.
Yeah,
I know the Rockies are struggling. I know they're on pace to be historically
yeah,
bad.
yeah,
Doesn't matter. Throwing a shutout at Coors Field and doing so in your second career start is an incredible accomplishment.
Oh, definitely. I mean, what better way to, when we talk about run support, is to have that and to be able to go out and just focus on, making your pitches. I mean, look, 21-0. I mean, they only got 5 hits also. I mean, so
Yeah.
it's just something that, and then you have to be able to understand how to manage yourself when you have these type of stretch of innings, like,
There's a
they
lot of
score eight
downtime.
runs.
He had to stay
Yeah.
warm.
Yes, 5 in the first inning, and
Yeah.
then, a couple of innings of 1, and then they score 8, and then they score 4, and then a
Yep.
couple of innings of 1. So just trying to manage all of that, from a pitching perspective is in itself a challenge. But look, I just it's hard. I mean, you get 24 hits and score 21 runs. That's a long day. I'm pretty sure a lot of guys got a chance to sit in the ice tub after this because there's a lot of running in Colorado in that high altitude.
Yeah. Yeah, and we did see the Padres lose the finale 9-3, and I did have that thought that I wonder if fatigue is going to be a factor. Just a long day, get it
Yeah,
all out. And Herman Marquez came out and pitched like the Herman Marquez of old, and tip the cap to him. And look,
yeah,
obviously you want to win every game you play, but it's all about winning series, especially on the road. And when you look at a 9-game, 3-city trip, going 6-3, and
yeah,
finishing it, 2 of 3 in Colorado, which is not an easy place to play because of all the
yeah,
factors you talk about.
yeah,
It's important. And I think one of the things that's really, really promising for the Padres right now is they're all back and healthy. Jake Cronenworth made his return in the
yeah,
Colorado series. And we've seen as the Padres are getting their players back, we're just seeing the offense tick up in a huge way. So from the time Luis Arraez returned last week against the Giants, so it was Arraez, then Merrill, then Cronenworth. We're going to start with Arraez because that's the point where it starts to tick
yeah,
back up. The Padres are 8-3 in that stretch. And not only that, their offense is averaging almost 7 runs a game since he came back.
yeah,
And
yeah,
again, that's definitely juiced a little bit with 21 runs against the Rockies and 13 the day before. But even if you take those 2 games out, they're still averaging 5 runs a game since Arraez came back. And, we just go back to everything we've talked about since the season began, that when healthy, this is a team that can compete with really anyone. But when they're not, there are depth issues. And again, we saw that they're averaging 2 runs a game over a 10-game stretch when they were without Arraez, Cronenworth, and Merrill. Now they're all back. Again, this is an offense putting up 5 to 7 runs a night. And with this pitching staff, that's more than enough.
definitely. I mean, when you have these type of players that facilitate your offense and that a big part of it, you got your guy that's in the 2 hole, and sometimes I think we talk about um, um, you know, as Sheets has been very solid in
Oh, yeah.
his season so far. I
Oh, yeah.
mean, Manny is the pillar, obviously, but and Tatis is. I mean, we're talking about an MVP candidate right now, with one of the top leading guys in the candidate, and then getting Jackson Mira there that just kind of like lengthens the lineup, solidifies, and you got a very big bat in there. And not only coming back, when you come back off of injuries, you don't know how the players are going to adjust,
Yep.
how the guys are going to come out, offensively.
Yeah.
These guys, Jackson Merrill came out smoking hot. And
Oh, yeah.
obviously, it was a good time for Cronenworth to come back too because he kind of snuck in there and got his thing going too. So
Yep.
it's kind of good for the offense in general. It just lengthens the lineup once again. It takes the pressure off of those other guys that are at the bottom of the lineup.
Yep.
And the top it all off, as we talk about the Padres offense, coming back, the biggest thing is that the pitching staff has been very solid in giving an opportunity for this offense to do what they do best, and
Yeah.
they have done it well, very well.
Absolutely. We talked about Stephen Kolek, who, I mean, coming up from AAA as a spot starter,
Yeah,
has yet to allow run in 2 starts. But even Randy Vasquez, the night before, 6 innings, 2 runs in Colorado. That's a great outing by him. He's done a nice job. And the thing with this lineup, you just talk about the upgrades, right? You go from Jose Iglesias to Jake Cronenworth at second. That's a big upgrade offensively. Center field, again, Padres were mixing and matching. We saw Brandon Lockridge, we saw Tyler Wade, we
yeah,
even saw Connor Joe, who's since been traded in center field, Tirson Ellis in center field. Now you upgrade that to Jackson Merrill. That's a huge upgrade. And Luis Arraez again, going from they were trying to piece together with Yuli Gurriel and some other guys, having him back at first base. It's just an upgrade. And I think you have to give credit. Every single one of these stars is performing. We talked about 3 MVP candidates in Manny Machado, in Fernando Tatis, in Jackson Merrill. They're playing like MVPs when they're on the field. And we talked about the bottom of this lineup. When everyone's healthy, they now have a solid lineup. Gavin Sheets is hitting 300 with an OPS over 850 here at the quarter
Yeah.
pole, which,
Yeah.
again, we talked about. Like, I feel like we're contractually obligated to mention Gavin Sheets on every show. Look, we talked about it. We saw it in spring training. This dude is different. He's going to have a big year, but I feel like I was his biggest proponent, and I wouldn't have said 300 with an 850 OPS. I was thinking
Yeah.
more 260, high
Yeah.
sevens. But Tyler Wade's done a good job since being called up, and Elias Diaz, after his big series back in his old stomping grounds in Colorado, he's hitting 260 with an OPS well over 700 and doing an
Yeah.
okay job defensively. So your stars are performing. You've gotten guys to step up in Sheets, in Diaz, in Wade. Again, the Padres have the second best record in baseball. And I said this before the year, and I'm owning it. I was light. This team is better than I thought they were. Again, it's a long season. There's a lot of baseball left, and we've seen when they get hurt, that's when the issues happen. That stretch of only 22 runs scored in 10 games and a 30-inning scoreless streak. But when healthy, this is a team that is one of the elite in Major League Baseball. They truly, truly are, and that's a testament to the players, the coaches, everyone involved.
Definitely, Cal. I mean, look, we're talking about a team that we knew, I guess we could say top heavy,
Yeah.
from offensive side, also even from the pitching side. But we understood they had a very good bullpen, and we also understood that the team um, was short on depth.
Yep.
Uh, and so, it's very critical to keep everyone healthy if
Yep.
you're going to compete in this division. We didn't understand or know that the division was going to be this much of a top heavy in the National League itself.
Yeah.
But you have to understand, if you're going to play in this type of environment over the course of the season, the health is going to be very important, and
Yep.
also just the consistency that you can try to continue to get from an offensive standpoint. I mean, Gavin Sheet has been above and beyond what we even mentioned in the beginning.
Yep.
I mean, we just don't have the little ball, the magic ball to tell us, what guys are going to do. He's been comfortable playing there, so that's
Yep.
the beauty and the blessing for the Padres in that sense. And obviously, it's just a matter now, just trying to once again continue to win series and keep guys healthy.
Yep.
And maybe even more so down the line, you start looking at some of the other guys that are out, from a pitching aspect, and see
Yu
what
Darvish
really going.
still
Yeah,
still
yeah,
coming back. I mean,
yeah.
that's
So you got a big. Those are a lot of
no,
innings, big innings. That if you can get a guy like that back in
no,
your rotation, that's very healthy. That kind of pushes everything down and make everything else a little better for the team. Considering his health.
no question. Again, 25-14, second best record in baseball, 6-3 on the road trip. All good vibes for the Padres right now heading home. Mike, you mentioned Bud Black. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about him as a longtime Padres manager and someone you played for, and just what
Yeah.
makes a good manager throughout the game. Talk a little about Manny Machado, and also look ahead to this upcoming series against the Angels. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back.
Hey, for the card collectors out there, you need to know about Arena Club. You can check out our showrooms. We've all got cards in there. You can buy, you can sell, you can trade, and you can rip packs. They're called slab packs, Kratz. And then what happens if you don't like what you pulled?
You get an instant offer. But before you get that instant offer, you can show your showroom around, kind of like when I used to put the cards in the sleeves and my buddies would come over and show them. Now, bang, show them on the phone. Instant offers right there if I need it.
Yep, that instant offer is for the estimated fair market value. Accept it on the spot. Acquire the best value for your money with Slab Packs, transparent checklists, and Arena Club's Slab Safe program. Whether you're buying, selling, trading, grading, or ripping packs, Arena Club is the safest, most trusted in the game. Right now, you can get 20% off your first slab pack or card purchase by going to arenaclub.com/foul and use code FOUL. That's arenaclub.com/foul, code FOUL.
All right, welcome back to Friar Territory here on the Foul Territory Network. Kyle Glaser alongside Mike Cameron. All right, Mike, as we discussed, Bud Black, longtime Padres manager and one that you played for, was fired by the Rockies after the series finale. And Buddy is renowned as one of the best baseball minds, one of the best human beings, and just generally speaking, one of the best overall people in the game. I think everyone who watches the game and understands where the Rockies are knows that this was not his fault. The Rockies have had a ton of misevaluations at the major league level and trades, free agency. Their major league roster construction has been messy for a while, and that's not on him. He can only deal with what he's been given. Nonetheless, he was let go. And I think, too, you can speak to this a little bit. You played for Buddy in San Diego. What are your thoughts on him as a manager, what your experiences were, and just, seeing the news that we're starting to see managers fire with Derek Shelton first and now Buddy?
Yeah, Bud Black is was my manager in my second year in San Diego. Man, he's always been very good communicator,
Yeah.
a good person, and like it's always refreshing to have a guy who can sit down and talk to everyone. He's always helping. He's been in a very much of a teaching role over there in Colorado for the last 8-9 years.
Yeah.
Obviously, he's the the wins leader now, going into his ninth season over there, and which they let him go now. I mean, it's just a matter I hate it for a guy of this nature to have to, get rid of his best players. And also, continue to bring on young guys, still trying to find a way for young guys to pitch philosophically and mentally in Colorado. And it's very hard to do when you got young guys over there, that the ebbs and flow of the inconsistency that you have. And now, you're playing in a very tough division. So you're going to get beat up a lot.
Yeah.
And so it's unfortunate that it was his call to calling card that had to be let go. But man, Bud Black is a very good human being, man. And I'm always got much respect for him. And obviously, to actually see it in like this is, from Colorado. I mean, look, it may be just a relief. I mean, sometimes when you're going through these type of things, but we know that if Buddy wants to try to land on his feet again, there's a possibility of that happening if he would like to. And but at the same time, man, kudos to Bud Black, because he's been, one of the upstanding long citizens that I've known, that from San Diego, man, and a great person, as I said before. And I wish him nothing but the best, man. There's nothing. I don't think anything is scarred in his particular situation, in Colorado, because we all understand what goes on organizationally over there, which sometimes we don't know what they're doing, for the most part. I mean, they're always at the top of the draft, and it's hard to bring players in there. And the Chris Bryant signing was out of left field. So it's kind of crazy.
There's been a lot of things, right? The Nolan Arenado trade was botched the way it was handled, and also the trade return. And it's not hindsight. I was at Baseball America at the time, had the Cardinal system. I could have told you it was nowhere near equivalent value. Then turning around and signing Chris Bryant. The one I'll never understand was choosing not to trade John Gray, but then not giving him a qualifying offer when it was very clear he was going to get. I mean, just stuff like that. They have consistently misevaluated and misvalued players at the major league level for years. And that's not on Bud Black. And it's a shame that he has to be the fall guy for it. Mike, speaking of managers, you played for 12 different managers in your career. That's 12 full-time managers, not counting the interns, including some of the greats. Bruce Bochy, Terry Francona, Lou Piniella. You have a great perspective on this because you played so many different cities, so many different managers, so many different styles across 3 different decades. What makes a good manager in your experience and from your perspective? Because what fans think makes a good manager is different than what the front office thinks, which is different than what the media thinks, which is different than what the players think. So what to you is it that makes someone a good manager from your playing perspective?
Well, Kyle, I played in an era where the manager had a lot to say, and these were, I guess, bigger than life. I played for some pillars. I played for Lou Piniella. I played for Terry Francona. And obviously, having guys of that nature, they command respect instantly. All guys that actually played the game. So they definitely understand the nature of the business of it. Lou was probably the most demanding. Boch was the one who hated him, and Lou hated losing so bad that I hated to lose. Like it was it's just a bad day when you lose. And Tito always commanded you to be accountable, responsible, and be a good teammate. Like that was his mantra, man. The guy was a player's manager through and through to the end. He just wanted you to play good baseball consistently, as well as the others. But I had so many different styles where I had Willie Randolph my second year in New York, and he tried to. Personally, I felt like he tried to bring the Yankee type of way to the Mets. The first year was kind of kind of a struggle in a sense, for the first half, and then he just kind of turned it over to the veterans, and we all got better in that sense. Man, I had let's see, Ned Yost was kind of a guy who had younger guys all the time, and then he finally got some veterans, and he kind of loosened the reins a little bit in a sense. I'm thinking about now, some of the guys in my younger years, I had old trader Jack McKeon, Jack's old school through and through, smoking the stogies in the during the game, everything. So, he was always letting everyone do their thing, and Jack was the one that didn't hold words very well. I mean, like whatever was on his mind, he was going to say it at that particular time. You wasn't going to get any lies from him. You weren't going to get anything. I will say that about all of the managers I've had, because, as I got a chance to become a veteran, it became much easier to understand what the manager role was. I had Terry Bevington my first year with the White Sox, and then I had Jerry Manuel. Jerry Manuel was very demanding. Obviously, we talked about this a little bit in his situation. He was the first Black manager paired with a Black GM. So there was a lot of things that he tried to instill and wanted to do. It turned out to be a very good manager, once he got past it. But he was hard on me. It's just hard on me, which I understand now. We talked about that before. Obviously, look, the manager that pushed me the hardest wasn't very hard on me, but got a lot out of me at a time, I think from my age 26 to 30, in a sense, and Bob Melvin is meshed in between that. But Lou Piniella, man, like pushed me to my limits. He understood he understood where I was as a player to get those things out of me. But he also understood the stress level that I came into this organization under, and he took care of me. He taught me a lot, man, about the game in itself, and pushed, like hard to be a winning ball player. So that helped out a lot too. And no knock against any other guys. I know, we're talking a lot about these things, but for me, it's really, I think it's a lot more difficult to manage in today's game, because you're managing all of these personalities with so many different elements involved in it, from analytics, from the front office being more involved in the day-to-day activity, the meetings, the phone calls, and you got to try to manage all these things. I got a chance to see that a little bit on this side of that, being in a I guess in a PD role and in a special assignment guy, or whatever, and being on some of these calls, and how you got to try to manage this whole thing over the course of time. So, I mean, like being a good manager, man, like one of the biggest thing is communication. And like, as I'm sure we're going to talk about here in a little bit, the situation they have in Boston should never happen, man. That's one of the biggest things that I've seen, is like, whoa, this is kind of crazy that transpired in that aspect.
Yeah. So just to kind of sum it up, commanding respect, communication, holding players accountable, pushing them in the right directions, understanding where they're coming from, seem like the cores of what you're saying. And I think too, one of the things that, the phrase we hear a lot is buy-in. Are they getting buy-in from the players? What does that mean to you? When you hear those words, what does that mean to you?
To me, buying in is the field general, I call it the managers and field general, is to actually have guys to understand your vision of what you're trying to do,
Yeah.
from a player perspective.
Yeah.
Look, everyone said we treat everybody the same. We know that's not true. I mean, that's just you're not going to do it. I mean, that's just the way it is. I mean, guys who kind of earn their keep in this game gets a little more leeway, but the accountability and the
Yeah.
responsibility and respectability
Yeah.
is there for them.
Yeah.
So, but it is really unique how you have to manage today. You have to deal with more media.
Oh,
You're the
yeah.
guy that has to kind of keep everything in check in that aspect. And also too, like just for yourself personally, you gotta make sure that you're in good spirits and your mind is in a good place to
Yeah.
deal with these aspects on a daily basis because there's a lot thrown at you now from an analytic aspect that guys will say, well, why did you meet this guy in, this
Yeah.
third time around and the numbers say this and this, that, and the other. And it's kind of like, man, like sometimes, um, I do believe in the analytic aspect of it. And you got to understand that if your pitcher has he lost 3 miles an hour of his velocity between the fifth and sixth inning? And how do you go about doing all that? So it's tough, man. I commend the guys that are able to do it today because it's not easy to be able to do it. And the guys that are in big cities, it's even harder to do it. I mean, you got a lot of people riding down your neck on a daily basis.
Yeah, no question. And to angle this back toward the Padres, one of the things that's been most notable over the last year, especially, is Manny Machado has hit a different point in his career. We are seeing someone who is playing much harder, much more consistently. He's doing things he didn't necessarily used to do, some of the early field work. And look, Manny Machado has always been an exceptional talent, one of the best players in the game. And he posts hurt, he plays hurt, he every single year,
Yeah.
rain or shine, pulled hammy, bruise, whatever, he posts, and you respect that. But one of the things we saw with Manny Machado, and I witnessed this a lot covering him over the years in San Diego, and even a little bit when he was in Baltimore, was when things were going really, really, really well. Manny was a great leader. Get on my
Yeah.
back. I'm going to lead the way. Think about
Yeah.
2020, that postseason. He was the guy after they beat the Cardinals, running out onto the field with the 10th fan banner, showing it out to the apartment buildings in San Diego where the fans were watching because they couldn't come into the stadium. 2022, they beat the Dodgers. He's the guy at the center of the celebration, getting Dallas with the alcohol. I mean, when things are going right, he's the leader, says, get on my back. Let's rally everyone up. We're going to go. But when things were going poorly, he would get kind of dour. He would get a little bit snippy. He would not really, when things would spiral, he would kind of get cranky and he wouldn't be able to help get the team out of that spiral. And it really stood in contrast to me compared to Mookie Betts or Freddie Freeman up the freeway where they were even keeled. No matter win, lose, they were always even keeled. And that wasn't really Manny. The Padres were a team that rode the emotional wave, and Manny
Yeah.
Machado was a big part of that. What we have seen, I would say, toward the end of last year and especially this year, is there's a lot more consistency in his leadership. And again, it goes back to, look, Manny has not always been someone who hustled all the time. And he even said that,
Yeah.
I'm not Johnny Hustle. He would do some things that objectively were kind of dirty and a little bit low. Think about cleaning
Yeah.
Jesus Aguilar.
Yeah.
But we've seen him kind of take on a new role here. And with it, his play is flourishing. He's on an 11-game hitting streak. He's been red hot. What are you seeing from Manny Machado? And now that he's in his early 30s, some of the leadership changes, the maturity changes, because this is a different player who I think is becoming a more consistent leader who's leading by example, not just by showing up and playing in the games, but playing hard during the game and doing some of the early work, which, just to be objectively honest, were not things he always did.
Yeah, probably one of the biggest things I've seen from Manny, right now, Kyle, is that I think Schultz has a very big impact on that, in kind of guiding these guys. Like we talk about Manny's leadership, but it really is a testament to Shilty and what he's able to do. I mean, the guy who's even killed, it doesn't matter, whatever it is, he's a little fiery.
Oh,
So
yeah.
that helps a lot. And so these guys probably got more respect for Shilty than they, did in the past. And Shilty's been around for a while and he understands there's a type of way to play the game, and and probably just Manny just maturing. In his case, it's just the maturation process, and he do understand that in order for this team to be successful, that he probably needs to be a little bit more vocal. We don't need to really see it. It could be behind closed doors and helping out some of the younger guys. He understands that he has a star on his team that he has to help out also. That which is very much so something that we know that is the consistency that you need from a leader in his case. But he'll always be, I'm gonna show you how to do it first. I'm gonna show you that I'm gonna play with these nicks here, these bruised up here, whatever it is, and I'm gonna be in the lineup every day, which is always a good sign. But we always will have to look at having guys. You got Bogarts there, you got a Rise there. Tatis is I think he is the real true franchise player if you're looking at from their perspective, and Manny can help him in that sense now that Manny is very comfortable with himself doing what he's able to do. So I think that helps out a lot, man. So, when we look at it from that perspective, it's always something that we can help, we can learn from. And as long as I think that we can keep Manny at an even keel. Manny played with, the Mookie Betts and, some of the other guys over there. So he understands, like you start to get a little bit of, you start to absorb some of those things when you see. You may not say them all the time, but you start to see what other guys do and how they're able to command a locker room to where there's a mutual respect amongst everyone because they're all men in there. He had to, and right now Manny has a job to try to steer a guy in like Jackson Merrill, the new up and coming star in this lineup. So it's definitely a help. It's always going to be a helpful thing. Manny is a future Hall of Famer. Let's look at it that way. No matter if we talk about some of the things that he does, that he did in the past, the guy has the numbers and he still has a lot of years in front of him. And hopefully that the maturation part of it helps him continue to help his body to continue, go on over the course of these next 6-7 seasons to be able to be a contributor to the San Diego Padres.
Yeah, again, he's on a Hall of Fame track. He's continuing to perform. Again, we're really seeing a next kind of level of Manny Machado in how he's just handling himself, leading the team on top of his production. It's really, really good to see. And Mike, you hit on it. Mike Shildt has been such a hugely impactful manager for the Padres. You talk about that credibility. He came up the hard way. He was not a golden child coming off of broadcasting on ESPN. He was a high school coach. He was a scout. He was a minor league manager for a long time in the Appy League, playing those wooden stadiums in Burlington and Johnson City and Elizabethton, Tennessee. Where it's, 100 degrees and humid. He, worked his way up all the way through the Cardinals system, got his chance to manage as an intern, took the Cardinals to 3 straight postseason. And look, he's got an edge to him. He's got a fire to him. He demands players play hard for him. And it's good to see that he's able to get that buy-in as opposed to it chafing or guys pushing back against it. So he's been a great addition, a great manager all the way around. And again, you talk about everything is working seamlessly, which we don't see in every organization. And we just saw it in Boston. Technically in Kansas City, but involving the Red Sox. And again, talk about for so long, the idea that the Padres would be a more functional organization than the Red Sox would have seemed very foreign to people, but that's kind of where we are now. And it's a testament to, the front office and Mike Shildt. And Mike, just to get your view on the national scene, because again, you have this perspective. You tweeted about it. You referenced it earlier. I'll just give you the floor. What are your thoughts on the Rafael Devers situation, how it's been handled, and where it's at right now?
Well, Kyle, look, took a lot of flack for that. I'm just looking at it from a player's perspective, also from the standpoint of the organization. I just think that this could have been handled a lot better to where Rocky didn't hold this in to have to speak at the moment that he spoke on this situation. First of all, it's one thing to say a guy just is at the bottom of the barrel as a defender. which we understood that he's probably not top 10 or whatever it is, where he is. We understand because the guy's going to work. I mean, we saw the work that he's put in from that perspective. To tell someone to throw away their glove, whatever. If it were me, I would have went to Rafi and said, "Hey, we got a chance to get someone to help you, help this team. Uh, he's a better defender than you. Um, we're gonna keep we're gonna try to DH you some, but we'll probably throw you at third a little bit, here and there. We would like you to keep working. There may be a possibility where you're probably gonna end up as at first base. And so, uh, let's try to work over there also. This when you do these things, it also keeps him in shape from just becoming a full-time DH
Yeah.
and not wondering about everything it does. Give him opportunity to still go out on the field, throw him a bone every once in a while. And I don't think we would have got to this position that we're in now where he just like, man, bump that. Y'all told me to drop my glove, but now you want me to play first? After 2 months, you told me I can't play third no more. I didn't really sign up for this, but obviously being the franchise player, that's why I say you got to treat guys a little different, man. And what he brings you offensively. And so my thing was like, man, we could have just handled this a lot better so he doesn't have to voice his opinion in the manner that he did, which, look, he spoke his truth. No one liked it. It didn't sound good. You got people, you're making 320 mil. You should just go play first. The rah-rah high school stuff. Give it. No, it doesn't work like that, man. Someone should have went to him and discussed this like, Rafi, look, we understand we put you at DH. It was for the betterment of the team right now. But right now we need is to see if you can help us out a little bit until we get this situation. We're short on first baseman. We have some young guys that we do not want to, upset their development. They may be ready, but they're not first baseman. We know we told you that, no, we're going to put Bregman at third, which is the betterment for the team. Hey, can you help us out a little bit and go from there, and see what he has to say about it. But all of this forcing someone to say, you got to go do this, do that, or expecting him, after you already told him to throw his glove down, expecting him to go to first base, just expecting him to do it. No, it has to come from someone that commands the room and say, hey, how do you feel about this? How can you help us out with this situation? Put it in his corner to then be able to discuss it in the manner that you need to discuss it as.
I think there's no question the communication was not there. And we see this sometimes as you get more and more analytical front offices, there can be a lack of emotional intelligence sometimes, a lack of communication skills. And it's something that has really hampered a lot of clubs. I think for me, I think the Red Sox should have handled this years ago. People keep talking about, they should handle this in spring training. But the truth is, Rafael Devers was a horrendously poor third baseman for years and years and years and years. And he also, every single year, was constantly getting bigger and bigger and bigger and more out of shape. Just being a national writer, I'd see him kind of once a year. And every year it was like, man, he's getting bigger. And I remember last year in particular, covering a series, Red Sox and Anaheim, I saw him in the clubhouse. And I was like, this isn't good. 3 years ago, the Red Sox needed to go to him and say, Rafi, we need you to lose weight, and we need you to get better. We need you to take an off season, drop 20 pounds and get better, or else we're going to have to move you to first base DH. At least then you give him the chance to go out and make himself better. And if he doesn't do it, then that's on him. But at least that way you hold him accountable and say, hey, we're going to be real with you. This is where we're at. This is what we need from you. We want to give you a chance to do it. That's the way to handle it. Yeah. And instead, they just kept insisting, oh no, he's fine. He's getting better. I'll never forget, again, last year covering that Angels Red Sox series in Anaheim for MLB.com. There was a game where Rafael Devers, he was butchering routine plays, could not bend over to get low enough to field ground balls, was laying balls left, right. The Red Sox lost a game. We talk about when he came up on the 20 to 80 scale, he was a 40 grade defender. He's a 20 grade defender. It was so bad. And after the game, I straight up asked Alex Cora, I said, hey, any thoughts about moving him to first base or DH? And Cora kind of smirked at me and said, he's our third baseman. He's getting better. When everyone with a pair of eyes could see that wasn't the case, that he's not getting better. So the Red Sox were either blind to it or ignoring it. And that just can't be. And you talk about, accountability and commanding respect. And to me, they had to handle this years ago. Say, look, this isn't good enough. We need you to make some changes, and we want to give you the chance to do so. That's the way you handle this, not coming to him in spring training and be like, after telling him for years, no, you're fine, you're doing great. Then all of a sudden, actually, wait, you're no longer a third baseman. That's not the way to handle this. It's got to be a communication process over the years.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, look, he had Chance Bloom, and then they brought in what's his name? The pitcher who's their GM now.
Craig Breslow. Yeah, this is 3
you
different
know,
rooms. Dombrowski, Bloom, Breslow. None of them held him accountable.
And so like that's a problem in itself, being able to deal with it. And then you look at their team, there really isn't any other position players that could really go to Rafi to be able to voice this, because everyone is much younger than he is. So, I mean, you're talking about bringing some of your legends back in there to talk to him, to try to do that. And we know that can go one ear and out the other. I'm pretty sure he listens to Big Papi. I'm pretty sure he would listen to a Pedroia. Look, I mean, even the guy who they got rid of in Bogarts is another person that, could have been able to talk to him in a sense. But
Mookie.
Mookie also.
That never should have happened.
Like that's a whole nother story, in that sense, But to have the owner to actually have to come out and fly into the other city, into the next city that they're going to just trying to calm the air down and just see where he is, mentally. After voicing some of those things, that should never happen, especially in a city like Boston, who just eats this kind of stuff up. I mean, I looked on the Twitter today; they're still talking about it. I mean, it's still going on, and obviously, I would have thought, I'm pretty sure he has. I mean, I'm not going to get ahead of myself. And Alex Cora having to step in now and try to dissolve the situation and maybe have some recourse in trying to get Rafi to understand where the team is. And we kind of need your help right now. Look, you've already told me I suck at third and throw my glove away, but now you want me to go first. I mean, like that's psychologically that could impact him. And then he got off to a really slow start as a hitter, trying to find out where he is as a DH from a DH situation. It's a whole different rhythm. I mean, look, even a few times I've DH, it's like, whoa, what? Like, like you just, you find yourself doing all kind of crazy stuff. But at the same time, hopefully they get this resolved for the betterment of the team and probably the shape of their roster. It would be ideal to have Rafi over at first base a little bit. And I think that would help out a lot. And I think, moving forward, Rafi's going to hit regardless of what.
And he has been hitting since that slow start. I mean, he's been there. And look, I think to kind of bring it back, right? I think whenever you're paying attention to only one team, you can get so caught up in your team, what they're doing, analyzing every move, criticizing every move. But when you take a look at the national picture and see what's happening with every other club, you look at what's happening in Pittsburgh, look what's happening in Colorado, look what's happening in Boston. The Padres are in a really good place. And I think it speaks to the help. Mike Shilt's a great manager. There's been some front office stability, second best record in baseball. When they're healthy, they're playing well. And I think it's important to appreciate that, because I think sometimes, again, if you're just focusing only on the Padres, you can get so into, oh my gosh, this is wrong and this is wrong. Why didn't they do this? Look around the league. There's a whole lot of stuff that's not going well. And all things considered, the Padres are running a smooth operation. That's why they have the second best record in baseball. And they're certainly in a good place. Mike, any final thoughts as we wrap up here? Angels heading into a homestand against the Angels and Mariners, AL West foes. And again, we talk about taking care of business against the bad teams. Angels, another last place team. We said if the Padres came through this stretch 8-4, 9-3, it'd be a win. They're 6-3. If they take 2 or 3 from the Angels at the minimum, which they should, it's a successful stretch.
Definitely. Anytime you go through, you got to go through Yankee Stadium, or you in a road trip, and you come out, pretty successful on that. That's always a good sign in itself. Knowing that you had to go in and take care of business in a Pittsburgh and a Colorado, and that they got a nice off day. I'm pretty sure the May gray is starting to. May gray is starting to wear off a little bit. The sun is poking through a little bit more. So, I mean, it's good times. It's in San Diego. I mean, look, they're coming up. What did they cross it? What did they cross? these cross city rivals or the
Oh, well, we
whatever.
got the Vetter Cup against the Mariners with
Yeah,
an actual
yeah,
cup this year to the
yeah.
winner after the season series. Yep, that'll be a
And
good series as well.
we got those things coming up, so it'll be good, man. It'll be good. Good like vibes in considering. I always love to see two of my favorite players on the field playing against each other. That's
Yep.
the Tatis and Julio Rodriguez is always brings for great action. I mean, so we're looking forward to some of these series that are coming up, man. And obviously, you know, the Padres continue to hold their ground and
Yep.
continue to play well in a very, very stacked NL West.
Absolutely. Michael King goes tonight, Dylan Cease on Tuesday, and Randy Vasquez on Wednesday. Should be a good series. I will be down at Petco Park covering the series, so stay tuned for all the latest coverage. This has been another episode of Friar Territory here on the Foul Territory Network. Go ahead and give us a review on Apple, Spotify, YouTube, whatever platform you're watching and listening on. We would love to hear from you. Definitely subscribe, leave us a comment, let us know you're enjoying the show. For Mike Cameron, I'm Kyle Glaser. Thanks for watching and listening. See you later this week.